Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to Dice Paper Miniatures. Well, we have the second half now of the new Nethermaze box set for Warhammer Underworlds, and this time it's the SHADEBORN Warband. Let's check it out. So in yesterday's article, we got to see the new Skaven, the Skittershanks Claw Pack Warband, and now we get to see the new SHADEBORN. And while I thought the Claw Pack was a pretty strong warband, this SHADEBORN looks pretty bonkers. So here's a look at the new warband. Yeah, the sculpts on these are really, really nice. And a little bit of background. Many years ago, an outcast group of Idoneth and Canaanite elves succeeded from their respective rulers in search of freedom and autonomy, led by the Idoneth exile queen Kainan, or Kiatan. Let me know in the comments below. They founded an undersea haven, which unfortunately turned out to be right on top of the ruins of Harrowdeep. The fragments of her discoveries lie scattered throughout the Nethermaze, almost as though placed there for warbands to find. Morathi brooks no rivals, even in exile, and has dispatched the Shadeborn to eliminate Queen Kainan and her seditionists. This elite force of Canaanite killers are led by the ancient Shroud Queen Slithael, who alone knows their true goal: to seek a way to harness the mysterious power of the Nethermaze for Morathi herself. So here we have the new leader for the Shadeborn. It's Slithael, Shade Stalker. So yeah, this card looks pretty decent. She's got a 4 movement, which is nice, 2 dice for a dodge, and 4 wounds. She's got the Shadowstone weapons, which have a 2 range, 2 attack, and 2 wounds. Decent. And she's got the keyword malleable. So in the declared attack action step, pick cleave or ensnare. This attack action has that ability until it is resolved. This character also has the Shadow Ambush. When this fighter starts a charge action in a cover or edge hex that is not a starting hex, you can resolve the move action of that charge action by placing this fighter in another cover or edge hex. That is an amazing ability, and that's why this warband is kind of the perfect counter to the Skittershanks Claw Pack. Their whole inspiration mechanic is to basically tag a leader, and she can just blink out all over the board. So other leaders don't have that ability, of course, so they're going to be a little bit more of a challenge to go against, I think, that Claw Pack, but this team should do really well, at least the leader. The inspiration mechanic, I believe, is the same for all of them. We'll find out here in a minute, but this fighter makes an attack action that targets an enemy fighter with 1 or more wound counters. So fine, you don't inspire the first time you attack, but every subsequent attack after you get 1 successful wound, your team is inspiring. That's pretty cool. And yeah, they all have that same inspiration mechanic. Okay, I dig it. So with that said, we have Sylark Greyblood, Valissa Umbrail, and Drusilla Viscerax. So Sylark, they all have 4 movement. They all have 1 dodge. That does make them a little weak. And they all have 3 wounds. So overall, not terrible stats. The 1 dodge I'd always like to see 2 if possible, but 1, it is what it is. But they do have 3 wounds across the rest of the warband, which is pretty nice. I believe the Claw Pack only had 2 except for the leader. So for Sylark, he's got the Cruel Blade, 1 range, 2 attacks, 2 damage. But he also has the Repeater Handbow, which is a 3 range, 3 attack, and 1 damage. And he has the keyword Dark Lamprey. It looks like spell action. If cast, choose 1 enemy fighter with no wound counters within 4 hexes of the caster and or in a cover hex. Deal 1 damage to that fighter. Shadow Mark, see Drusilla's fighter card. And Valissa also has the Shadow Mark, see Drusilla's fighter card as well. We'll come back to that. Yeah, so Sylark is, I think, a solid player. And the fact that he can just tag a wound onto somebody, that's really cool. That's really cool. And that's going to help, of course, everyone inspire. You get to inspire, you get to inspire, and you get to inspire. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, so Valissa, again, same inspire mechanic, same physical stats. She has the Shadestalker Dagger and the Puncturing Follow-Up. So the Shadestalker Dagger has 1 range, 3 attack, and 1 damage. And the Puncturing Follow-Up has the 1 range, 2 attack, and 1 damage. So the keyword Flurry, which is a reaction, after this fighter's successful attack action with combo, and that Shadestalker Dagger has the combo keyword, make this attack action. So Flurry, being a reaction, is a keyword to Puncturing Follow-Up. So she's dual weaponed, so hence she has 2 attacks. But the first one has to hit. And then, like I said, the Shadow Mark, which both her and Sylark have, which reflects to Drusilla. So speaking of Drusilla, again, same physical stats, 4, 1, and 3. She's got the Glaive and Dagger. So 2 range, 3 attack dice, and 2 damage. So these models put out some decent damage. And what Shadow Mark actually means, the keyword, you can reroll 1 dice in this fighter's defense rolls while this fighter is in a cover hex. So even though they only have 1 dodge, they all get to basically reroll their defense dice if they are in a cover hex. That's cool. And cover hex, I believe, is anything adjacent to the edge or a blocked hex. If I recall the rules correctly, I believe that's the case. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, only 1 dodge for the rest of the warband. Slithale has 2. She doesn't have Shadow Mark, but that Shadow Ambush is seriously cool. So, yeah, I think this is a decent warband. I thought the Claw Pack was a solid warband, a little bit on the glass cannon side of things. These are also a little frail, but they do have more wounds technically. And their damage output looks really solid. I kind of feel like this warband, even more so than the Claw Pack, are just going to blow people up. All right, so the Shadeborn are masters of the Umbral Arts, a nimble group of skilled assassins who use their mobility to bushwhack anyone, anytime, anywhere. They can manipulate tenebrial magics to wreath themselves and their enemies in living darkness, while their cards gain power if the target of the card is in a cover hex. Steer clear of the shadows. Yeah, so that's the one caveat that's a little bit of a weakness, but I mean, honestly, who cares? They get to inspire relatively easy. If you neutralize some of the cover hex / edge mechanics, probably not the end of the world. You could also kind of game the system a little bit depending on how you set the boards up. If you probably want to create that staggered. I think that would make the most sense to stagger the boards to get the most out of your edge and cover hex shenanigans. So Shroud Queen Slithale takes this power 1 step further. Being in a cover hex bathes her in shadow, allowing her to teleport to edge hexes and other secluded spots. Yeah, her ability is crazy. This is a cool card, though, the Gambit Ploy, Smoke and Mirrors. Choose 2 friendly fighters, 1 or more of which is in a cover hex. Place each fighter in the hex that was occupied by the other fighter when you chose them. So that's pretty cool. That definitely allows for some more tactical shenanigans for sure. All right, so this warband thrives in cover. So a Shadeborn player will do well to skulk through the darkness and attack with devastating precision. Smoke and Mirrors, for example, is just read it. Allows for your models to swap places. That works. And the new domain keyword. So the Claw Pack had the map keyword. They have the domain keyword. So cards also have great synergy with the Shadeborn. Moving through the murky gloom will help you get into position to push enemies into unstable walls and columns, causing extra damage as the creaking ceiling crumbles and cracks. So Gambit Ploy, creaking ceiling, has the keyword domain. Each time a fighter is driven back into an edge hex or a hex adjacent to a blocked hex, Deal 1 damage to that fighter. This effect persists until the end of the round or until another domain gambit is played. Now, if I remember the Claw Pack, they had a card that allowed you to push opponents around. That could be a good neutralizer to keeping the Slithale out from the shadows, possibly. Now, that's just one card, though, so... And then we have, of course, any Khainite Shadowstalker worth their Realm Stone knows that torture is just as important as sneaking. It may come as no surprise to learn that the Inspire condition for all 4 Shadeborn is to make an attack action against an opponent who is already injured. Yeah, which with this warband, not that difficult to do. So this is the inspiration side for Slithale. Basically, everything is the same except she has 1 more attack die. So that was pretty much similar with the inspiration. Yeah, that was the exact same quality on the inspiration side that Skittershank had for the Claw Pack. His inspiration side was the same as his normal side except for an extra attack. Okay, so we have some more cards to look at here. There are also a number of upgrades that focus on the joyful sadism of these bloody-handed assassins, such as Ruthless Aim, which adds +2 dice to attack actions. Yeah, because they need more of those. But only when their victim is vulnerable. All right. So there's also sadistic, so it's kind of like a win more, but whatever. There's also sadistic tendencies, an objective card which rewards you for spreading out your attacks. With this in hand, you can creep to victory without even needing to kill your opponents. Perfect for quelling tougher and more heavy-hitting warbands. Okay, so let's look at these more closely. Ruthless Aim is an upgrade, and Sadistic Tendency is an objective. So Ruthless Aim, +2 dice to the fighter's attack actions if the target is vulnerable. And then Reaction. Use this after this fighter's attack action. Takes an enemy fighter out of action. Give this fighter 1 shadow counter. Fighters with 1 or more shadow counters treat the hex they are in as if cover hex. Wow. Okay. In addition to other hex types. Discard all shadow counters at the end of the phase. So you get to basically take a little smoke bomb with you everywhere you go. All right. So Sadistic Tendencies. Score this in an end phase if 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action and or have 1 or more wound counters. So that first part makes it feel a little bit more like a win more card, but it's definitely worth it if you go with just the 1 or more wound counters. So I don't really see a drawback to just having this in there. Yeah, I think it's a decent card. So it looks like this is it. So the Shadeborn are a great pick for patient players who enjoy lying in wait and encircling their opponents, luring them into deadly traps and sowing confusion among their ranks. This warband thrives on carefully laid plans and inflicting a gradual, painful death on their foes. It makes me wonder what the other cards are in the pack. If they really are kind of limited on defense, it's just a matter of bopping in and out of the shadows, So we will have to wait and see. But we won't have to wait long because this Nethermaze box does go for pre-order this coming Saturday, which means another week after that, and it will be in stores. So yeah, this one really came out fast. There's one thing I wanted to mention that I think I did not mention in my previous Underworlds videos, and that was with the roadmap. With this expansion core box coming out, I believe that completely shifts Harrowdeep out of the season, so to speak, as far as the game itself goes. But the Rivals pack, which is both warbands packed together from that Harrowdeep box set, that will be available. I thought they were individual boxes, but the Rival box packaging is a combo box. It's the 2 warbands together, kind of like what they did with that old Barnes & Noble Dreadfane expansion that was kind of like Underworlds Light. When Dreadfane came out and when they went into, I believe it was Beastgrave after Nightvault, when that Beastgrave came out, they released that Dreadfane, those 2 warbands together like in a combo box. And that's basically what they're doing with this Rivals box now. We'll have both the Stormcast half and the Oryx half. It's $80, which is only $15 cheaper than Harrowdeep. I would argue for the extra boards, the chits, etc., you might as well just try to get the Harrowdeep box while you can. That's my thoughts. If you're able to buy those warbands individually for 40 or 42 bucks a pop, then I would probably go that route if you just wanted one of those warbands. But I believe with like the neutral cards, it's probably worth getting the Harrowdeep box. But those are my thoughts on that expansion box. I'm not sure how I feel about the rivals. But again, those are my thoughts on it. I would love to know what you have to think about that rivals box, as well as this new expansion, Nethermaze, for Warhammer Underworlds. I'm really interested in this warband, specifically the Shadeborn. It's probably a good thing that both these warbands are in the same box because they both seem really, really cool to me. I just wish the box wasn't 95 bucks. That is such a price jump, but that's how things are now. So if you're into Warhammer Underworlds and you want two really cool warbands, I don't see how you miss with this new Nethermaze box set. And I would be curious to hear what you think is the best warband of these two now that they've both been spoiled. Comment below on that as well. That would be really cool to see your insight and what you think is the better warband, if that's a thing. All right, well, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell below, and sharing this content with your friends. That really does help with the growth of the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. All right, well, as always, be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.